Loving vs. Virginia and the Loving Family by Grace Mendoza and Radhika Patel. Miscegenation means cohabitation or marriage between persons of a different race. Section 20 to 58 of the Virginia State Code was a law that made it illegal for interracial couples to leave the state of Virginia, get married, and return back to the state of cohabitate. Put in simpler terms, Section 20 through 58 of the Code ensured that people of different races could not get married to each other.
Loving v. Virginia was a Supreme Court case about the marriage of Mildred and Richard Loving. Mildred Dolores Jeter was born on June 22, 1939. Richard Perry Loving was born on October 19, 1933. They were both raised in Central Point, Virginia. Mildred was attending an all-black school when she met Richard, a white high school student. Richard was also her neighbor and a close family friend. Mildred and Richard's family lived in an area where there was little racial tension and white people and black people mixed freely.
Interracial marriage was illegal in the Commonwealth of Virginia because of the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. This is why Mildred and Richard traveled to Washington, D.C. to get married on June 2, 1958. However, soon after returning home, they were arrested on July 14th.
I guess it was about 2 a.m. And I saw this light, and I woke up and it was the policeman standing beside the bed. And he told us to get up, that we was under arrest.
Mildred and Richard were sentenced to a 1-year jail term at a state prison after being accused and convicted of disobeying Virginia's anti-miscegenation law. Judge Leon M. Bazile, who had given the 1-year sentence, promised to defer their sentence if they concurred to leave Virginia and not return for 25 years. This is what caused the Lovings to leave home for a second time and move to Washington, D.C.
The case started in 1963 when Mildred wrote a letter to the U.S. Attorney General named Robert F. Kennedy. Kennedy then sent the letter to the attorneys Bernard S. Cohen and Philip J. Herskop, who were assigned to the case. Mildred's letter was written to ask them for help because she wanted to return home so they could see their families. With the help of Cohen and Herskop, the Lovings filed a request asking Judge Bazile to revoke their sentences and abdicate their conviction.
Judge Bazile refused the request, which eventually led to the case being taken to the United States Supreme Court in April 1967 after another appeal. At court, Virginia's Assistant Attorney General, Robert D. McElwain III, defended the constitutionality of his state's anti-miscegenation law and compared it to the rules against similar instances. However, Cohen and Herskop argued that the Virginia statute was illegal under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. Herskop stated that Virginia's interracial marriage law and others like it stemmed from white supremacy and racism. He precisely said, "These are not health and welfare laws, these are slavery laws, pure and simple."
The Lovings legal team argued that the state law ran counter to the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment because it forbade interracial couples to marry solely on the basis of their race. On June 12, 1967, the High Court agreed in favor of the Lovings, striking down Virginia's law and thus allowing the couple to return home. This led to the abolishment of the ban on interracial marriages in other states. The court held that Virginia's anti-miscegenation statute violated both the Equal Protection Clause and the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment.
The story of the Lovings have affected me personally because I think it's a really powerful story of two individuals being right in the face of the law being wrong. In this case, it's particularly about anti-miscegenation laws. They were an interracial couple who overcame those laws, and then nationally their case was able to make interracial marriage legal for all. I think it's really remarkable to think about how recent this history is because the Loving case went into law in 1967. Previous to that, interracial marriage was legal in some states, but not all. In California, it only became legal in 1948, and that is relatively recently. It does have a personal impact for me because I am in an interracial marriage, and my husband and I really look to that particular case as, the history that has allowed for us to be together, and for I'm glad that culture has come far enough that today our children, our multiracial children, feel more accepted than the children of the Lovings did at the time that they were together.
Since the 1967 Supreme Court case, Loving v. Virginia, the percentage of interracial marriages in the U.S. sparked. 17% of newlyweds were married to someone of a different race or ethnicity, compared to the 3% in 1967. After the Supreme Court's decision to legalize interracial marriage, several states amended their constitution or removed anti-miscegenation laws from their statute books. This included Florida in 1969, Mississippi in 1987, South Carolina in 1998, and Alabama in 2000, becoming the final state to do so. Now, all 50 states have banned the anti-miscegenation law.
Richard and Mildred Loving have impacted marriages all over the world. Loving Day is a global holiday celebrated on June 12th to commemorate the court ruling that legalized interracial marriage in the United States.
Loving Day is a holiday that was initially proposed by a college student at the Parsons School of Design, and he was a child of an interracial couple and a multiracial individual, and he learned about the history of the Lovings and how they fought for their marriage, and it inspired him to create a day where more children like the children of the Lovings would feel recognized, comfortable, not discriminated against in the United States. And so he really wanted to propose it as kind of like a pride holiday for multiracial children, as well as a celebration of the love between interracial couples. And he proposed it. I think that the United States representatives recognized it in 2017, and then there are a number of states and cities that have recognized it since. It is recognized in California, and each year my husband and I celebrate it together to kind of like honor this history and what the Lovings did for couples like us. So we, talk about it on Loving Day. We talk to our children about it, and then usually we'll go out on a date or something like that to celebrate the fact that legally we are able to be together in 2025.